Hi everyone, it's Ayesha here from God FM, and yeah, I want to talk about what's going on in the world. And what is going on in the world? Well, people are under attack, and I think it's good to talk about it actually. I want to tell you about what happened last night. So, yesterday I swapped my bed around with another base and got rid of the other bed because it completely broke apart actually. Metal bed, and whatever happened with it, it just ended up snapping and breaking. And luckily I had some boxes underneath to support the bed and myself for a little while, but as it is, I just thought, no, it's time to change it. So I put another base in, and I got rid of all of the bed that I had there, the frame and all of its little locking nuts and screws and bits and pieces, bolts and whatever, which are six-pointed star ones. Very interesting. Same as washing machine. Very interesting. So anyway, I actually have a feeling that all of it's down to screws, okay? Screws, bolts, nuts, the size of the screws. Like on your iPhone, it's a star-headed screw. So it is about nuts and bolts and screws. And anyway, I found that if it's a star-headed, like six-pointed screw, I don't like them because I think that it communicates with the sort of network that it's the same as the washing machine. And my washing machine seems to be connected to my bed, so I have like a shaking like the washing machine. But it's also connected to the toilet, which also has some nuts and six ends, similar. So I don't know if it's connected, but that's what I think anyway. So I got rid of everything, and I put these nuts and bolts somewhere away from my main house last night, just so I thought I don't want it connecting. And then when I woke up this morning, I found in my bed two bolts, two of the one nut and then two of the bolt things in my bed by my sort of chest area. So it's not like it fell out of my pocket or something in my trousers. And I thought, oh, this is creepy. But yeah, that's what I found this morning. And I thought, it's creepy, it is. And I wanted to talk to you about it. Because when I was talking to a friend of mine, she was saying, oh, sure you haven't got a poltergeist? I said, it's funny you should say that. I was just talking about poltergeists. And that is so similar to poltergeists. The electricals, things, fuse, lights flash. And it's just like a poltergeist would behave. And then this friend of mine was like, well, it's possible if they're doing witchcraft that maybe the witchcraft, they can actually get these things to come along and do their bits and pieces and whatever. I said, well, I suppose it's possible. But anyway, I was on TikTok just now, and there's a lady from another country. She sounds sort of foreign. And she is being really badly attacked. People are throwing things at her. They're coming in her house, messing with her food, much the same as me. But she's really talking about it, and she's telling everyone. And funnily enough, that's what I do. I just tell everyone about it because I'm fed up with it. If this is going to happen to me, then I'm going to tell everyone about it. Because I don't think it should happen in this day and age. And I think it's just terrible that this is allowed to happen. Because actually, these are people that are doing this. This isn't just spiritual stuff, right? So this is a several-pronged attack. This is putting stuff in your water. This is gassing you at night. Coming in your home while you're asleep. Coming in your house while you're out, messing with your Wi-Fi, spoofing Wi-Fis and spoofing telephone masts, cloning your phone, cloning your SIM card, putting stuff on your computer, putting things on the subnet master 255, 255, 255, Like if I put them in on my TV, the subnet mask of Angola, suddenly my phone thinks it's in Angola. Okay. But my TV's not part of my phone. Why does it think I'm in Angola? And I think on one of my phones I think on one of my TVs I've got EE put as France. So now my phone thinks that it's in France when I go on to Safari or one of the browsers. And that can be the only reason for this. Because I do things on my phone because I don't want my phone knowing what I'm up to. Obviously I can't stop it to a certain level, but I want to talk about these things. Why would my TV be thinking the same thing as my phone? And it's got to the point I also want to mention where I literally don't watch TV now. I can't use my TV. I certainly can't connect it to the internet with anything smart, because as soon as I do, people are in it. It also brings me to Bluetooth speakers, and I noticed they're doing everything through Bluetooth speakers. I've got a JBL, and anytime I use that JBL, I was just thinking about it, everything goes wrong. So when this first started, I reset every Wi-Fi device. I hardwired, reset the TV and all this. And, we had peace and quiet every time I reset the router and put hidden Wi-Fi and all this. But not for long. Because these guys have got spoofing everything, haven't they, And I was just like... But funnily enough, I had problems with the speaker, and somehow or another I pressed a few buttons on this speaker and it made some noises, and then it just would never switch back on again, and so this speaker just didn't work. And I think I'd reset it according to a different setting for a different type of Bluetooth JBL speaker and made a mistake, but it worked. And boy, this thing would reset itself to the point where it wouldn't work. And so anyway, I had some peace and quiet for a while. And then I figured out how to get this thing working again. Because I thought, I really want to get this speaker working. So I worked it out, managed to get it all working again. And like I say, as soon as this Bluetooth speaker was working, all of it started again. Now, I had a speaker for the TV. I really like sound and stuff. So I had a really nice speaker for the TV. And it was a Boston one. And it wasn't Bluetooth. It was just an audio jack. But whenever I used this, it was this... suddenly it was... the JBL speaker was also behaving like it thought it was the Boston speaker. I know, it's odd. But that brings me to wiring. Okay, because I take things apart, don't you, eh? All right. So, inside the wiring for aerials, what we have is a bit of plastic on the outside. Then you've got a little bit of silver foil and strands of sort of what seems like cotton. And then inside that, when you pull that back, you've got another plastic sleeve around a copper wire. And if you take the plastic sleeve, you've just got the copper wire. Yeah. Interesting. But you've also got these like metal sheaths that go around the copper. Around the tinfoil-y type bits on the outside. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So then you've also got wiring for speakers, which is positive and negative little wires. Interesting. And that has a phone jack, right? But did you know microphone has the same jack, and your phone has a microphone jack, and there's also an earphone jack. In the old days, you had a little round one for for the jack, right? But now it's just this thing, right? So actually I found if I put something in the charging device, I found it stops a lot of stuff, right? So you might want to, hold on to the old ones that don't work and chop a bit off and just stick it in there. Because it seems to stop the microphone from working. Because it's a microphone, it's also a speaker jack, and it's also a charging device. Interesting, isn't it? And since everything's uploadable and downloadable and modifiable on devices through USB, did you know that? Yes, it is. Then this part of the phone is a problem, right? Okay, interesting. So I also play around with karaoke machines and radios and all sorts of things and take them apart and all sorts, right? So I was taking apart, what was it? Oh yeah, a Logic sound system yesterday. And inside it, I found these little looped, what looks like a ring, quite heavy duty, black. I thought, oh, interesting. I found two of those in there. I was like, yeah, interesting. Because the Logic thing stopped working. And so anyway, I also took apart a microphone. A microphone, yeah. One with the audio jack. So I took that apart and I wanted to see what was inside the wiring. I thought it would be a positive and negative wire, but hey, you never guess what's inside it. If you take off the little plastic sleeve, you've got a bit of tinfoil and strands. It's like, hey, what? Whoa, that's so interesting. And then you've also got what looks like 3 little wires. Yeah. It's about 3 or 4 wires, like red, yellow, blue, and brown, I think. And then you've got a white sleeve round a copper wire again. So you take off the white sleeve and then you got a little copper wire. Interesting. So very interesting, I think. So I'm like, okay. But also, the microphone part is only a tiny little thing. And it records, audio. It's like, wow. Does anyone actually know what these circuit boards do? It's so interesting. And then I also had some loose wiring lying around. And I've got these really big, thick wires for speakers, which is like 2 wires joined together with a piece of plastic, really thick. So I cut it down the middle. And then I decided to make some pretty little loops around 3 loops and do like a coil thing. Oh, it looked so pretty. Oh, I really enjoyed doing that. Like little bangly things. And then I had quite a lot of that as well. And I thought, I think I might make a necklace. Well, made a little necklace and all sorts of nice little things. Very interesting. Very thick wiring. And I like to do this kind of thing. And those 2 little metally things that I found in that Logic, I put them on some wire and they look really nice as a necklace, actually. And I had 2 white ones which I found, similar things, and they were inside a JBL charger. I thought, oh, they're interesting. I keep those. They look really nice around the neck, actually, as a necklace. Crazy it is. So, I don't know what they are. But why don't we learn about these things in school? Don't you think it's interesting? I do. I think it's real interesting. When you realize that magnets can charge things. So, what do I do, right? If I've got a speaker that's not working or I'm not going to use it, I smash up the speaker and I get out the magnets. Sometimes the magnets get smashed up and then I've got a box of smashed up magnets and not so smashed up magnets with more coils I've made and, it's quite a big box. And wherever I put that, it really neutralizes the room as well. Oh, yes. I know what I wanted to talk to you about. Confusion. So what I do is I make confusion boxes. really good. If you're a targeted individual, you'll want to try this. What you do is you get a little box, an old tin can, perfect, right? Clean the can, throw in it some screws, magnets, bit of aerial wire, all sorts of nice little bits and pieces like this. Then seal the thing back up again. And place it at one of the corners of the house. And you watch it. It'll really help you. Yeah. I've actually got it where I can't listen to radio sometimes because these guys are firing frequencies so that the radio can't pick up radio frequencies. It's being interfered with. The same with TV, where I've actually had to put this TV aerial inside a wall to stop them interfering with the TV signal. I don't watch TV now, but when I did before, I had these problems. So I've been in touch with the BBC about it, and they reckon it's telephone masts, but it can't be telephone masts that are causing the problems I've got. It's not normal. I've got interference on the radio and on the TV, and if you're a targeted individual, you'll probably have that, and you'll probably have interference on Wi-Fi, and you'll have interference on lights. You'll have every type of thing causing problems. And it is like a electronic type of stance. But like I say, I do my boxes of confusion. And I really like that. I really like my little boxes of confusion. And these are the things I found. But also, if you've got a router and it's giving you problems and you don't know how to reset it, just buy another router. It's probably worthwhile just getting another router as a spare. So when this first started, because I had an office in town, I had several routers, and what I do is swap them around. But I preset them as hidden Wi-Fi's and all this, and hidden networks and all this. And then I just plug them in and go, oh, that one's that one. Plug that in and swap them around. So if you know how to pre-set up your routers, you can get 2, 3, 5 of them, set them all up, and then, when one's giving you problems, just swap it in with another one. And that's what I do. And the same with radios. If you've got problems, then swap radios around. I've found there's lots of things that help me. My boxes of confusion, my little coils with magnets, and putting lights in the window, radios in the window, very good. Putting radios on everywhere also helps. What else? Oh, there's people who say about the wire going round and round. What's it called? Something or other that you put onto the smart meters. Yeah, so you can make those as well, but I think you could probably make something with wire, because, it's expensive to buy these things and all this kind of thing. But if you've got some old speakers with wire, you can make lots of stuff with some speakers and wire. I'm brought up on a farm in Africa, and on the farm we used to have battered up old vehicles and radios within the vehicles and engines and all sorts, and car seats, and it was fun. We would sit and play in the old cars on the farm for hours and days. We had an old caravan on the farm too, and we'd sit there and play all day. In fact, I had a Shetland pony as well called Judy, who I learned to ride bareback. And she was a naughty little pony, but she was white, and she had a saddle mark on her back, as if she had a saddle, but it wasn't a real saddle. It was just a little brown saddle mark. And I used to ride her around bareback. And sometimes she'd stop and I wouldn't, and I'd go flying over a fence or a gate or something. She was very naughty. But yeah, my friend was saying, if anything happens in England, it'll be really good to have a horse. I said, oh yeah, I can ride any horse, me. because I learned to ride bareback. And, I was saying to her about swimming as well, learning to swim and swim more and all that kind of thing. This is about cleaning your body, rejuvenating. So there's a few things I also found really helped me. Tanning, fake tan, swimming, very good. Chlorine really helps. Salt. Salt really helps. You can salt the areas around your home. And just generally taking more care of yourself. You can get those steamery things, and they make like steam around the house. They're very good. If you're like me, you'll have like lots of mold, and they will induce mold by causing leaks in the roof and in the house with pipes. Like with my bath, I had a leak for a long time, and you don't really notice until the ceiling is now giving way because the water's collected so much. This kind of leak is what they like to do, and it's a problem. It really is. So I was saying to her, I wonder if, because the world's really going for it now, isn't it? If maybe we're manifesting this reality, maybe we could manifest some other type of reality. I said, oh, well, that's fine, easy peasy. I'll become the Queen of England then, and I shall kick some ass and put this right, give some people some freedom, safety. That's what we need in England. That's what I think anyway. I don't want a holiday. I won't rest until I feel that everyone's at peace and they can relax. I never will be the same again, as far as I'm concerned. I will never rest or be able to relax until I feel safe. And the only way I feel safe is if I'm running things. That's the way it's always been, I'm afraid. When I moved to Devon, I couldn't find a cleaner, so I started a cleaning company. Then I was looking for an estate agent. Couldn't find one. Got ripped off by one, so I started an estate agent. Couldn't find a legal company to help me with evictions, so I started one. Same sort of thing, everything I do. Couldn't find a radio station for God. For the UK, looks like I'm starting one. That's something I'd really like, is a radio station dedicated to God on the FM network as a nationwide radio. National, but I'd like a world radio, really, for God. To give glory to God. That's what I'd like, with the Bible playing. I've actually found it really hard to find any Christian radio stations, in England. Really, I have. Yeah, no, you can find them on the TV and things. But I'm talking just general, normal radio. I'd like to be able to listen to gospel news, and because for me, the gospel is news, and it's my news, and I want to hear all about it, I'm so excited about the gospel. And all I want to hear about is the Bible and the good news of God. And I'm just so surprised, actually, because I was surprised that England didn't really have anything that catered for this. But they've got so many other radio stations, and really they missed out, because I'm sure there'd be loads of companies who'd sponsor Christian radio. I know there's some Christian radios, but they're not on the sort of standard channels. They're really hard to pick up. They are. I've got a digital radio, and I can't find any Christian radio stations on it. I don't know if it's just because it's difficult and maybe it's an attack from the devil. The same with TV. There's no real TV stations. I mean, there is Channel 66, and I noticed they call it 66 now, TBN Network, and then there's 725, which is the trans world. But I thought that was about trans agenda. But it's called Trans World Radio. Again, that's on the TV. I'm just like, Why can't we have a Radio 1 radio station for the UK? For God. Why can't it be called Radio 1? Because God is number one. Well, they could call it Alpha, couldn't they? The Alpha and the Omega radio. I don't know. But if God's our maker, then we are literally under attack. We need his help and we need his support and we need to give him glory. You know, if he's made us, then we're behaving badly. You know, even our best behavior is considered God's worst behavior. Elijah was considered the best of men, but the lowest in the heavens. So, and Elijah was a very, very kind, wonderful, very generous, sweet, kind man. And he'd do anything for God. It's interesting, it is. When you start thinking about the evaluations and the way God thinks and sees us and how he feels about us. But God he is God, but he's also got feelings. Just like you and me. And I wonder how he feels. I do. I think, how does God feel about us? I know we're not happy about the world. Some people blame God. But, you know, God is not a jack in a box, so he's not just going to stand to attention according to when you want him to. So, but also you've got to understand this God who made us, he is so mysterious and so interesting. And I just think that we should be frightened of God as well. But, you know, when you first come to the Lord, it's so exciting. Well, let's just hope that we can all maintain that same level of excitement about God through our whole walk of life. So that's what it's all about. You know what I really find interesting? Magnets. Magnets. I love magnets. Why? Well, because they can just do so much. You know, I got some big fishing magnets and they got stuck together. And I'd taken off the little loops so they were just flat and round, and they got two stuck together. And so they stayed like that for a couple of months. Because every man I went to ask to see if they could separate them, they weren't strong enough to do it. So I was like, okay. And then I watched a video, how do you separate magnets? Get stuck together. And someone said, oh, if you get a cloth and you gently hammer it apart, it'll come apart and then you can use the magnets again. So I did that. And hey presto, these guys came apart. But yeah, this morning I was making up my confusion boxes. You know, because I think it's all operated on signals and screws and things like this as well. So I wanted to talk to you about your identity and projection. If God is the Word and you can think and speak, then it needs to be a projection of what you want. And when you're praying, you need to say thank you and accept the gift that God has answered those prayers already. And boy, is it hard. It's very hard, isn't it? This world. There was a video on X about the dark web yesterday. I know it was TikTok. About the dark web and the things that they do on the dark web. And it's like it's a place where evil can be conducted and crimes are committed and no one's held to account for it. And I was surprised, you know, because it's like a license to commit evil and crime because everyone's frightened of going on the dark web. And the police don't monitor it and they don't regulate it and they don't police it. And I think that, since we've gone digital and everything's gone high tech, everything's gone on the dark web. And that's what I actually think. I think that the World Wide Web has become the dark web. And it is the world of the dead that's come and joined us. And so we really have to have our wits about us. And like I say, for every negative, you're going to try and find 5 things to say thank you to the Lord about. But I also, after changing my bed and everything around yesterday, I couldn't believe how strong I was actually getting all that stuff done. Like I say, I'm only a little lady, but I can do things. And, it makes me worry about old people. Old people who are on their own and there's no one there for them. Where and how do they manage? How do they manage? They must struggle. Yeah. Oh, my friend was saying that they think that there's going to be some terrible food shortage very soon. Food shortages and shortages in general. England's determined to join in with some type of war. And there's all sorts of war stuff going on. So just have your wits about you. You can't go wrong with praying. Praying is the way. Treat everything like a poltergeist. And you can't go wrong. Can you? Oh, Gary, you want to say hi? Gary says hi. Say hi. Oh, nice. He's giving you a kiss. How lovely. So yeah, praise be to God. And yeah, it's just a general chit-chat, catch-up, boxes of confusion. You can use an old tin can and, as I say, seal it up afterwards. Label what you think it's going to be called and do your hiding of it. And I hope you have an amazing day. It's Ayesha from God FM, and if you want to find me, you can find me on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon, Samsung, Chrome, YouTube, Apple, X, as well as TikTok and Telegram as God FM News, God FM New, God FM Radio, and God FM Group. You can email me admin@godfm.org.uk, and you can WhatsApp me +44 777 35 777 Have an amazing day. It's Ayesha from God FM. Take care.